Welcome back to Soul Renovation. I'm Adeline Atlas, 7 times published author. You're the cycle breaker, the curse ender, the one your ancestors prayed for. Definition: a cycle breaker is a soul who came here to disrupt generational patterns, transmute ancestral pain, and establish a new spiritual and energetic blueprint for the bloodline moving forward. You're the cycle breaker, the curse ender, the one your ancestors prayed for. Don't take that lightly. That's not just a quote. That's a mantle. You're the one who didn't numb it. You felt it. You sat with it. You looked at the wounds your family kept passing around like heirlooms and said, "This stops with me." No more broken marriages. No more self-sabotage. No more silence around abuse, betrayal, addiction, manipulation, or neglect. You weren't born to repeat patterns. You were born to interrupt them. You're the glitch in the matrix of your lineage. The one who woke up mid-simulation and realized, wait, none of this is normal, none of this is soul-aligned, none of this is mine. And let's be clear, that kind of awakening comes with war. Spiritual warfare doesn't always look like demons and dark clouds. Sometimes it looks like gaslighting from your own bloodline. It looks like being misunderstood, labeled the problem, or cast out for choosing truth over tradition. But hear me, you were not sent here to fit in. You were sent here to clear it out, to clean up contracts that were signed in trauma, to burn altars that were built in pain, to shift timelines, to restore what was stolen. When you heal, you don't just heal you. You send a ripple through generations, forward and backward. You free ancestors who never got to speak. You liberate descendants who haven't even been born yet. Your healing is their redemption. Your no becomes a sacred closing ceremony for every door that should have been shut decades ago. When you say it ends with me, you become the lock and the key. You're sealing what was open and unlocking what was closed. Most people repeat what they've seen. They mimic the dysfunction because it's familiar. But not you. You chose to see it. You stopped calling dysfunction normal. You stopped explaining away the trauma. You stopped romanticizing the brokenness. That takes a rare kind of strength, soul strength, the kind of strength that doesn't get celebrated, but gets remembered. And you don't need applause to confirm your mission. You've got spiritual clearance for what you're doing. You've been given authority in the unseen to cancel contracts, uproot curses, and build new foundations. That's what a curse ender does. You don't break the chain just for yourself. You break it so nobody else in your bloodline has to wear it. You rewrite the script so your children don't have to survive what you barely escaped. And let's get something clear. Just because it ran in your family doesn't mean it's your fate. That's the lie. They said you'd be just like them. They said you'd never escape it. But you did. And you will. Because you're not just here to heal. You're here to lead. Leadership in this realm means being the first. The first to forgive. The first to speak up. The first to walk away. The first to say, that may have built me, but it's not going with me. You were chosen because your soul had the guts to go first. And when the generational weight hits you like bricks, remember this. Bricks are building material. Stack them. Build the temple. Set up the altar for a new bloodline. You are the foundation now, not the fracture. And if they can't see that yet, don't worry. They will. Some people don't recognize the Savior until after the storm. And some ancestors couldn't become what you are because they didn't have the tools, but they gave you the prayer. You're the answer to what they begged the heavens for, the prayer they whispered through pain and persecution. That's why you're awake. That's why you see what others don't. That's why you're attacked. That's why you're rising. This isn't personal. It's purpose. You're not just the end of the story. You're the beginning of a new one, a new bloodline, a new standard. A new frequency. You're the cycle breaker, the curse ender, the one your ancestors prayed for. Walk like it. Definition: a generational curse is an inherited spiritual, energetic, or behavioral pattern that is passed down through a bloodline, often unconsciously, affecting the thoughts, habits, opportunities, and emotional health of descendants. It's not always about obvious tragedies. Sometimes it's subtle. Sabotage, silence, poverty, addiction, betrayal, infertility, rage, or fear passed down like heirlooms. let's talk about what it really means to be cursed. A generational curse isn't some Hollywood hex where someone sticks pins in dolls or lights candles in the dark, although spiritual rituals absolutely exist. But more often, curses are transferred through belief systems, trauma cycles, unhealed wounds, spoken words, and broken spiritual laws that were never corrected. Think of it like this. Your bloodline is a data stream, and every generation uploads new coding. Some of it is wisdom, wealth, resilience, spiritual authority, but some of it is corrupted. Scarcity thinking, victim mentality, emotional suppression, or demonic agreements that never got canceled. If nobody breaks the code, it becomes your default operating system. These aren't just personal flaws. They're programmed defaults. When your grandmother ignored her intuition to stay in survival, that coding passed down. When your father couldn't express emotion without violence or silence, that imprint entered the DNA. Curses aren't just what people did. They're the results of what people didn't heal. A generational curse is when unhealed wounds become your script, and you don't even realize you're performing from it. And let's go deeper. Many of these curses were not started by accident. They were activated through agreements, sometimes spoken, sometimes spiritual, and often by force. Abuse, abandonment, betrayal, when left unchecked, create spiritual contracts. And whatever is not healed is handed down. That's the rule. In spiritual law, unrepented sin or broken covenants can carry consequences to the third and fourth generation. That's not superstition. That's legal structure in the unseen realm. Just like courts exist in the physical, they exist in the spiritual. And if nobody ever rose up in your bloodline to renounce, rebuke, and cancel what was done, then you inherit the debt. You don't just inherit eye color and last names. You inherit burdens. You inherit patterns. You inherit bondage. But you also inherit the power to end it. And that's what makes you dangerous. You're the one that saw the pattern and didn't just cope. You confronted. You didn't say, "This is how it is." You said, "Not on my watch." That's the beginning of curse breaking. When you wake up and overstand that, just because it ran in your family doesn't mean it has to run through you. To break a generational curse, you need more than self-help. You need soul strategy. You need authority. You need to go back into your spiritual bloodline, revoke what was agreed to, call forward divine justice, and replace those patterns with alignment, truth, and higher law. Because here's the secret. Curses only continue where there's agreement. If you no longer agree with it, it loses legal access to your life. You're not crazy for wanting more, you're chosen. You're not arrogant for breaking away, you're anointed. You're not selfish for going no contact. You're sacred. You are not just healing, you are rerouting the timeline. You're the curse ender, and that makes you the most powerful one in the family. Ready to go deeper? Join the School of Soul Vault. Full access to exclusive video series that break the rules and rewrite the game. Monthly membership, no fluff, just transformation.